Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Cuisines of Different Cultures class. My name is Christina, and I am going to be the host and the instructor. If you are familiar, I've actually led a cooking class before with my teenagers last year, and it was for our first teen life skills class. And it was on how to make something that was not from a box. So I've done that before, and I'm also leading the self-sufficiency class. So in January, I led the self-sufficiency class, and I showed everybody our farm or our homestead, where we have chickens and ducks and rabbits and different things. So the instructor that was supposed to lead this class double booked themselves. So I decided I'd go ahead and I'd lead this class. So if you are just joining us, please drop in the chat where you are watching us from. That'd be great. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions because I'm going to toggle between my computer that's in my workspace and my phone that's in the kitchen. And I'm going to do my best. I know I have to mute myself here and then go over there and turn up my volume. So I'm going to do my best to explain to you everything that I'm doing, and why, and I'm using duck eggs and things like that. And right before I hit record, I just said I'm a little bit behind today. We had a fire in one of our neighboring towns, and we were up in the middle of the night. My boyfriend is a firefighter, and so he was gone for most of the night, and I was awake half the night watching all the tweets and all the different things coming in on the fire. So I did not get as much prep done as I wanted to. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so just somebody give me a thumbs up that you can hear me okay. Yes, thumbs up. Yes, Scott, I got you. Okay, great. All right, so this is the kitchen, and I'm going to turn this around a little bit smaller. Yes, so I'm going to turn my camera around. It's been a while since I've done something on Zoom for me to remember how to actually do that. There we go. All right, so this is the frittata recipe, right? So we have Michaela over here. She's my oldest, and she's in culinary school. Whoa, and that really blinded the light. So she's in culinary school, and we have tomatoes. We've kind of got, so the recipe called for cherry tomatoes, but instead the store did not have cherry tomatoes. I think it's not the season for it. So I am just doing Roma tomatoes. Now we only are doing the skins. So we cut all the extra gooey stuff out from the insides of those. So I believe, Marina, if you look at my computer and just look at it, the recipe is in the comments section. I believe there was a cup of those. All right, so Michaela is prepping those. I've already cracked my eggs. So here's my duck eggs. And it said for 8 eggs. Now I just want to show you. Here's our
question.
eggs. So we have.
I'm sorry, quick question. Should I take
Yes.
the insides out of my cherry tomatoes?
What?
Should I take the insides out of my cherry tomatoes?
You can. Cherry tomatoes are a little bit thicker, so sometimes they're okay to keep the insides in. Roma tomatoes, this has a lot more inside, so I took them out.
I have mine. I have my cherry tomatoes already.
Okay. You can leave them, and I think if it was me, I would slice them in half. I don't know if you have them sliced in half.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Okay. I would leave them the way they are.
Thank you.
They're very much more like this versus the Roma tomato, adding a lot of that extra to it.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of that extra, see, like this is everything that was taken out of the Roma tomato. So there's a lot more of that. And I didn't want that in this. Because when I've made quiches or frittatas in the past, the more things that I have that create liquid, the looser my frittata is. So I try to not have things that create too much liquid. So so that would be why I did that with the Romas. And I personally like Roma tomatoes a lot. They're easier to can. They're easier to do a lot of things with. So I actually prefer to buy those over others. All right. Now, I just want to show you, these are our eggs. These are some of our eggs. So hold on one second. Okay. So this right here is a duck egg. And here. And this right here is a chicken egg. And I don't know, sometimes you can see the differences between some of them. So these have a little bit different of a feel. These are much smoother of a feel. And I was going to crack one. I don't know how familiar you guys are with duck eggs or chicken eggs. If you want, some people, ask me like, what's the difference? So people use duck eggs for baking a lot. Chicken eggs tend to be a little bit smaller. Duck eggs are bigger. All right. Duck eggs are much thicker. All right. So ducks lay their eggs on the ground. Chickens lay their eggs off the ground in a nest. So these eggs are built a little bit more durable. All of our eggs have to get washed. We have our candler's license here, so we sell eggs. So all of our eggs have to get washed. These duck eggs are much thicker, most likely because they are laid on the ground. All right, so they have to withstand a lot of movement and stuff like that. Whereas chicken eggs are not as thick. All right, so I'm gonna just go ahead and crack one of these over here so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like when you crack one of these duck eggs. Here, hold this one. All right, so like, see how this is much thicker, right? And there's a lot more to it. And so you have to break it apart more. And then when you put it in there, it's a lot thicker. As sometimes I like to say, it's a lot goopier. But duck eggs are not as commercialized as chicken eggs. So we tend to use them a lot more. Let me just wash my hands off. Um, so we tend to use them a little bit more. And they have double the protein of a chicken egg. And you get a better rise when you bake. So I know the recipe calls for 8 duck eggs. I already cracked mine. Scott, I don't know if you cracked yours yet. You did. Good job. Do you have everything all laid out and prepped? Oh, awesome. You should just be leading this. All right. So like I said, I do my best to follow recipe, but when I cook, I usually don't. So I'm mixing this up a little bit. All right. So what I need now is we have Michaela is prepping the tomatoes. You want to prep the green onions. So if you're from the north, call them scallions. A lot from the south, you call them green onions. So the recipe calls for 2. Because I can't see it in the chat in here. Or you want to read it to me? All right, let me just look at my phone here. Yeah. It's tough to see the chat. So I'm going to have her watch over the chat. All right. So Michaela is cutting. You're actually supposed to rough cut. Just so you know rough cut means not so little, but she's going to go ahead and cut up the scallions. Let's see what yours look like, Scott. Aha, very nice. Move. Okay, I see those. Those are your tomatoes and scallions, right? And that's asparagus, right? That's your asparagus cut up. Good job.
This is the asparagus, mushrooms, and cherry tomatoes, and this is the scallions.
Nice. Very good. All right. So we have everything laid out over here. All right. So are doing 1 cup of asparagus, a cup of mushrooms, and half a cup of tomatoes. And I know we are putting those. You have my directions. All right. So I know that we are doing the tomatoes, the mushrooms, the asparagus are in bite-sized pieces. And those are going in the pan with some oil. So I'm going to just tell you guys, I cheated a little bit because I know how long some of this stuff is to cook. So I got a can of mushrooms because I know those take a little while to cook. So I'm just going to drain those. You want to go ahead and do the asparagus for me? Asparagus was not cheap right now. This was like $4 for this little bunch. And I'll tell you, the canned asparagus was $4 as well. So I was like, well, I'll go with fresh asparagus. And I guess I'll go with canned mushrooms. I just laid about a bunch of things. All right, Marina. Here's my other daughter, Marina. She's 16. She's going to school. I want them bite-sized pieces. So cut those in bite-sized pieces. All right, I need you. So what for the cucumbers? Somebody was asking me about the cucumbers. So here I got 3 cucumbers. I was looking for the English cucumbers, but I could not find those in the store that I was at. So I just got 3 of these. I need you to go ahead and peel those. All right, we're going to peel those and get those done. That's for the cucumber dill. No, you're going to peel them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I'm going to go with, I'm going to add to these eggs the milk, the turmeric, the salt, pepper, and dill. So I'm going to go with the milk, turmeric, the salt, the pepper, and dill. So we have, yeah, I know. All right, 1/4 to 1/3 cup of milk. So I'm going to get that going, only because I'm waiting on her to get those asparagus cut up. I also did get artichoke hearts, and I got the marinated ones. So I got those, and I got the olives. And I thought the recipe said I could use either one, and I kind of thought I'll use both, maybe, and just try both.
Okay, I'm sorry, should I be cooking the vegetables now in a pan?
So, well, you know what? I think now that she's done with the asparagus, yeah, let's go ahead and do that, because I know that's going to take a few minutes. All right, so here, put those away. All right. So I've got my pan. I have a cast iron pan. Who else cooks with cast iron? Anybody? I cook with cast iron a lot. So we're going to put that on. I always put that on 5. I always put that on 5 or in the middle, like medium. All right, we're going to go ahead and do our olive oil in there and get that hot. And I know this kitchen is actually plenty bright, but on the camera on my phone, it does not show up that way. So we have, Michaela, you want to get the measuring cup? We have 1 cup of asparagus, 1 cup of mushrooms, a 1/2 cup of cherry tomatoes, or 1/2 cup of tomatoes, all right, and then we have, let's see, so wash and chop mushrooms, tomatoes, and asparagus into bite-sized pieces. Mushrooms, tomatoes, and asparagus into bite-sized pieces. So here we have our cup of asparagus. I'm still letting this get warm. You know, it's warm, it's good enough. You want to wait for that to really get nice and warm. Let me move around my oil a little bit. You get a better cook on it when it's nice and hot. When you put your stuff in the skillet nice and hot. And this is going to be the same skillet I'm going to cook this all in as well. So we're going to go ahead and do that and get this going. It's over medium heat. We're going to put the mushrooms, tomatoes, whites and scallions, and asparagus. Hold on, put those. Okay, so Marina has gone, just so, well, while we're doing this, she's gone and she's peeled, thank you, the cucumbers. Now, can you get the mandolin slicer out of the drawer? Because we're going to slice these super thin. So the German cucumber salad that I've always had is, these are sliced super thin. So you want to get the mandolin slicer out of the drawer? Yeah, okay, so I use a mandolin slicer. My mother is really good, and she can slice these really thin with a knife. Michaela does not. Michaela's almost lost her finger off a mandolin slicer. 3 times. 3 times, okay. Only once by me, maybe 2 in school, okay. So I use the mandolin slicer, but we were very cautious when we use it, because that's the way I can get the thinnest cut. And it's still not as thin as you want it. My mother used to also use a food processor on like the super thin blade, and she used to slice it like that too. All right, so I've got 2 things simultaneously going. So she's doing this This does not have a recipe because this would be like how I've always made it, how my mother made it. So this was supposed to probably be going a couple hours ago because it's supposed to sit in the salt for a little while. We'll move it along, but just know that you want to slice these. They're peeled, then they're going to get sliced, and then they're going to get salted in a bowl, in this middle bowl. And they're going to go in here, all right? And they are going to, you let all of the liquid get pulled out of it by the salt. All right, so we have the mandolin slicer, and go ahead and dry it off. Whenever you store your slicer, always store it with the blade all the way up. I don't know. We have this one as a Tupperware slice. It's from Tupperware that I really do like to use. So this automatically retracts. It's got a handle in the back so it can adjust your slice, and it automatically retracts. So like, see that thing? We'll take off your finger. All right, so when we store it all the way up so that everybody's safe. But when we slice these, we slice them on like the first notch down. Here, can you hold that for? So we slice it the first notch down. So we want the thinnest slice that it can give us. This is well. Scott, is your pan hot enough yet? Mine isn't. I'm still waiting on it.
Oh yeah, the vegetables are really sizzling.
Oh, good. Here, you know what? Because of the magic of TV, and I'll eat whatever. I'll go ahead and put these in. So here, you want to pan up here to the asparagus going in. So here's my cup of asparagus. Yeah. Hold on. Here's my cup of tomato going in. All right. And then mushroom, I said, right? Scott, you got 3 things in there, right? The tomato, the mushroom, and the asparagus, right?
Oh, I wasn't supposed to put the scallions in?
Yes, I was gonna say, you have the scallions too? I was just gonna say, you have the scallions? All right, I got that and the scallions.
Was I supposed to preheat the oven yet?
You know what? Thank you. Sleep deprivation really does mess with your brain. Yes, we are supposed to preheat our oven to 425.
I guess that's because I forget half the time and then I have to wait.
This is the first thing that I actually do is I preheat my oven. But when you are trying to teach something on Zoom, you kind of lose some of your mind. All right. Let's throw this out. All right. Michaela, here, come stir around my veggies. All right, so over here, we've got the vegetables, the hard vegetables. We want these to cook ahead of time because we want some of that liquid to be reduced out of it. I made a quiche one time. I did a lot of work, made a quiche, and I put everything in there fresh, and I did not know that I needed to cook them beforehand. So you want to cook these and you want to get some of this liquid out of here because my quiche jiggled way too much. You'd think it'd be something that I would know, but I didn't. So here we've got these cooking and sizzling. All right, while that's cooking and sizzling, we are over here with the slicer. And so here, I will do, so she's just gonna slice these super thin. And I'm just gonna show you here is the thickness of the cucumber. If you can even get it half thinner than that, that's even great. All right. So you always want to watch your fingers on these. The chef will tell you knuckles. The students learn this in culinary school with their knuckles. And I stop about there. And then go again. And I stop as I go, just to do a finger check. Now, these do come, yes, with these, right, that hold on to this. It's a little handle. It can work too, but sometimes it gets annoying because it slides everywhere. So sometimes I just like to go like this and slice it up. When I get towards the end, I stop rushing and I just make sure it's good to go. I have chickens, so sometimes I don't mind giving the chickens this last little bit. Or I'd rather have a finger and waste a little bit of food. There are safer ways to do it, but you just got to make sure you know what you're doing. Or there's that. And then we'll do this last one. This is why back in the day we used a food processor that you just pushed everything in on. And you can sit and slice these by hand if you don't have a mandolin, but I will tell you, it is a lot more difficult to do. All right, does anybody have any questions? If you want, I don't know if you put anything in the chat, I can't get to it. If you want to just ask a question. Yeah, go ahead, hold on. All right, go ahead. All right, so we've got, yep, stick a fork in the end of the cucumber. Yep, you probably could do that too. There's a couple different tricks. And so sharing any of those tricks are great. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? There's a great snack for me to have right now while I'm doing this. All right, so if I have my bowl of cucumbers, I have a lot of, you can use chicken eggs. Yes, you would just use 8 as well. All right, so I'm gonna just use some regular iodized salt. I have like 4 kinds of salt. Yep. All right. You want to just heavily salt this. And mix it all up. All right. So you're going to heavily salt it, mix it up. That's going to get a lot of the liquid out and it's going to make these very loosey-goosey. All right. And just rinse my hand because salt and electronics don't work. See right over here? We have chicken scratch. All right. So I'm going to just, I didn't count out completely, but I'm going to put this aside to put in as the tomatoes that are going to go into this when it's done. I'm going to leave these like this because I think tomatoes tend to get pretty mushy. So I'm going to reserve those to the side and not put them in the cucumber salad like this. This would be a traditional German cucumber salad. All right, and so I've heavily salted them. I've crushed them up. I'm going to sit this somewhere. We're going to say 4 hours will go by. All right. We're going to come back to this at the end. So go ahead and set that like in the microwave so it stays in some place covered. All right, so here we go. We got our vegetables cooking and sauteing in the pan. How are your vegetables doing, Scott? You want to show us a screen? You want to flip your screen around and show us?
I cut them so small they're done.
I bet they're done. Mine are probably
actually put them on a plate between paper towels to drain them so they don't have, they're not going to be watery when I combine them with the eggs.
That was going to be my next step. Good job. I was going to say mine are probably cut a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I figured that's where you were going with it. So
yeah, so you can cut them small, you can cut them bigger. I mean, the recipe says bite size, and some of us like it. You know, it all depends what everybody likes. Some in my family don't like mushrooms. Some don't like asparagus. So sometimes I cut it a little bit bigger so that they can see it if they want and they want to pick it out. Go ahead and go for it. I'm through with today's.
I live alone, so I make it the way I want it.
Absolutely. All right. So we're gonna let that go a little bit. If these mushrooms were raw, they would probably need a little bit more time to cook, but they're not. I'm gonna let keep this going here and let the asparagus cook for a few minutes. All right. Come back to, where was I? All right. My helper has gone to the restroom and I don't have access to seeing the recipe. So can somebody call out to me what I need to put in here? That's on the call. Turmeric. I
Turmeric,
know.
salt, pepper.
Get me the pepper. You said pepper, right?
Well, salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. Grab me the pepper up there and grab me the turmeric.
Yeah, and a quarter cup of fresh dill wheat.
There's dill wheat I got in there too.
Yeah, and
I don't know if anybody was able to find
chili flakes, optional.
Were you able to find pepper, honey? Yes, I bought pepper. It's in a little square container. Here, I'll show you. We have quite a little homestead going. So this is our spice cabinet over here. So we have all different kinds of spices in here. And so sometimes mom has to come and find the spice that she bought. So there's black pepper. So, because teenagers can't find much. Yeah, you're 20. 20-year-olds, young adults can't find much, right? All right, so I could not find any fresh dill weed. So I had to get this. And we're not a big dill fan. So a quarter of a cup, maybe if it's fresh and cut, is not as much as I'm thinking a quarter a cup of this might be. So I'm going to just use a little bit. Feel free to go ahead and use a quarter of a cup. But I'm not a huge dill fan. All right, you want to go ahead and that looks pretty good now. Like that asparagus has some pretty good color. So I know it's okay. We'll go ahead and get that on a plate. Towels. We use the Viva paper towels in here. They work the best. We do a lot of work and a lot of cooking, so they work the best for us. Here, you want me to just hold the pan up? I know it's a cast iron pan, so it's heavy. Make it. All right. Any other questions while Michaela's putting everything into the pan? I need you to. Okay. All right. I got that. Wipe that pan out. That out. Extra. All right. Now, back to our eggs. So I will tell you, so duck eggs have double the protein and they have a lot higher counts of vitamins because they are not as over commercialized as chicken eggs. So that's why we actually end up using duck eggs where we're at. Also, we live in the South in the country, and I think people might not like duck eggs. They don't know much about them. I think it kind of scares them. So we end up selling our chicken eggs and we end up eating our duck eggs. All right, so I'm going to work on what's going in here. So we're going to add the milk, turmeric, salt, pepper, and dill. So we're going to do a half a teaspoon of turmeric, a half a teaspoon of salt and pepper. So Scott, it says a half a teaspoon of salt and pepper. So did you do a half a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper?
Nope, I did a quarter teaspoon of each.
Did you do a quarter teaspoon? I was wondering what you would have done. All right, so
It would have been easier to add more if I was wrong than to take it back.
Yep. All right. So we're going to do, I have the quarter. Oh, nothing's fitting in that. Can you get the milk, Michaela? So here's the quarter teaspoon of
I've been
pepper.
making mistakes cooking for long enough to know what to
Well, I just now
how to
saw
compensate for my mistakes.
yeah, I just now saw that it said that.
Yeah.
So then you know that this mistake right here, like don't pour it over your
Oh,
stuff, right?
yeah. No, I've been making mistakes long enough in my cooking to know what to avoid
What
when
to
I'm doing
avoid,
something
yeah.
wrong.
But
So,
pouring the whole container of salt over your eggs is not a good idea. You want to do that separately. I've been doing this a little bit while. All right, and then the milk, we're doing a quarter to a third cup of milk. All right, so my kids, so I'm gonna just say this because my kids always had a hard time with this. You always remember, and this is fading now, but a quarter cup is at the bottom of the line because it's not, a lot of times it's not labeled on these. A third of a cup is right there, but a quarter cup is right here. I'm gonna go with a quarter of a cup. I don't know. It says a quarter of a cup to a third. I might go in the middle. Oh, here, actually, it is labeled a quarter on this one. I'm gonna go with the quarter because I'm gonna err on the side that whenever I do things like this, they still end up pretty liquidy. And I really don't want it liquidy. I like a nice firm egg bake. If it's too liquidy, so we've got the salt, we've got the pepper, we need the turmeric. Now, make sure you know that whatever you end up using with turmeric usually will stain. Pull that up again. I think it was half a teaspoon. I think it was a half a teaspoon if I remember. I just made some Indian dal last week and naan bread. Half a teaspoon. Right, so you use a quarter teaspoon times 2. And it came out really good, and I used turmeric in it too. So sometimes I will say, Scott, that's if it needs extra salt and pepper, some people like to flavor it to taste.
yeah,
I will say that too. Right?
I
Okay.
love salt on my eggs.
I like salt and pepper, but some people like to just flavor that on their own. All right, so I've got the milk, I've got the salt, the pepper, the turmeric. I know it said crushed red pepper. I'm gonna put some of it because I do like some of that. I'm just gonna put a sprinkle in there though. Add milk, salt, pepper, and dill. The dill. That's what I'm missing. So the dill is what's going to give it that springtime frittata. All right, so this was saying a quarter cup of freshly chopped dill. I could not find freshly chopped dill. We have little local grocery stores here, and it's not the season for this. I can't get the lid off. So there is no freshly chopped dill, which is why this is called a springtime. This is why it's called springtime frittata. So, and dill is strong for me. I'm not a fan of dill pickle either. So instead of me actually measuring out a quarter of a cup, which would be, that's a third of a cup. So it'd be a little bit less than that. And that would be probably this whole container. I'm gonna just put some of this in there. And I can put a good amount in there. But I think dill's a little strong of a flavor. So this is, let's say, 0.3 ounces. And I probably put like a quarter of that in there.
Actually, if it's dry compared to fresh, if you had like 1/3 of a cup, it'd be that would be dry to compare for. I'm sorry, that would be fresh substitute for dry. You put 1 teaspoon.
There you go. Well, this is gonna have nice flavor. Yeah, I couldn't find any fresh. We actually grow a lot of our own fresh herbs here, but we haven't grown dill because nobody really likes it. Okay, so my daughter wants to frost this. So this is what I have. I don't know if you've, for those of you like, I switched over to using some everyday dose mushroom coffee. And so we have this little frother, so she wanted to go ahead and froth it. Careful, because sometimes it's so yeah, so she wants to go ahead and mix it up. All right, and while she's mixing that up, I'm gonna check this. This is looking good here. I'm getting a lot of the liquid out. All right. And so, question here, y'all. Give me a vote. Artichoke hearts and the Kalamata olives. I was going to put a little bit of both of them in here because I like these. So, chop them up, I'm guessing, and then I'm going to put them in without cooking them because these are already kind of done and nothing in there said cook them. So I think I'm going to just open this up. Michaela, can you cut up some artichoke hearts real quick for me? Just cut up a few. We're not huge. Where'd she go? Yeah, come here. Come cut up a few artichoke hearts. And I think we're going to cut up just a few of these olives. I really have started to enjoy olives. Scott, what are you putting in yours?
Neither. I love olive oil, but I hate olives.
Okay. Well, I like, I'm not a huge fan of the artichoke hearts, but I thought I'd try it because I know that's pretty good. And I like a spinach and artichoke dip. Here, cut up some of those for me. And then cut up some olives too. Let's chop up some olives. And here, let's see how this is going. Yeah, I know, honey. Make yourself some room. The asparagus you can put here in this bowl. Rinse that out real quick. Just rinse the bowl out real quick. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay, so I will tell you, like duck eggs, the yolks are more difficult to break because they're very thick. Just put it right here, and I'm joking for a second. So whoever it was that was telling me about the dill, I will say I find it interesting. Like I did stuff in the pressure cooker when I made my Indian dal the other day, and I had to add a lot more of my spices because the Instapot, the pressure canner, takes it. You need me to open it? Sorry, my child went snowboarding yesterday. She's got no strength. Here, hold this. So it takes some of the spice out. So you have to actually add more spice to it because of that. So I'm used to adding more of certain spices to certain things and different ways that it all works. I don't know. All right, so let's go back to where we're at. Pull up your instructions. All right, these are those extra ones. These aren't being used. This and this is done. That we don't need anymore. I tend to pre-bus our space a little bit. All right, so add the oil, mushroom skins, soften a few more minutes, and pour an egg mixture, sprinkle on cheese, and cook in the pan until the edges begin to set. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this all in the pan. I'm gonna turn my pan back on medium while she's doing this little final part and do the olives too. I don't know, just chop them up. Yep, that's good. And then just chop them up. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add this back in my pan. That's still hot. I really like doing stuff with cast iron because it holds the heat better. So I'm gonna add, it's not easy doing it one-handed and holding a phone. So I'm gonna add that back in there. No, I think that's good. And then so we're only gonna do like that amount because we're not quite sure what we're gonna think of the flavor of it all. And then I would do like that much of the olives too. All right, so I'm gonna do, so I have learned, like when I've done a quiche, I kind of like to separate everything out before I put the egg in because stuff tends to clump together. otherwise, and if I try to move it around with the egg, it makes a big old mess. So I'm gonna go ahead and I've got this. I'm gonna spread this around in here. So there's my artichoke heart spread around. And here it is spread around here. And then we'll go ahead and do the olives. All right. Scott, you ready to put yours in the oven yet? Or is it already in?
It's ready to go in.
All right, I figured it was. All right, I'll be ready to go in a few minutes. All right, here, I'm gonna go ahead and stick.
Then I'll wait for you.
I'm gonna go ahead. So this is duck eggs are a little bit like this, a little bit gooier than a chicken egg would be. And considering I'm one-handed, we're just gonna stick that there. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in here because I know it has to get firmed up some. Ooh, doesn't that look pretty? Where are my crafters that like to make the little designs? Because I will tell you, if you wanted to, you could set that egg in there first, and then you could take some of your vegetables and make your little designs in there. I've seen people that like to do that. We have one of our independent dialogue coordinators. She is in Ecuador, and she's been doing tours of different museums and different things in Ecuador. And one of the things that she's been wanting to try to do is make her food look pretty. I'm trying to get to where I can turn my screen around. It's not letting me do it. Yeah. So I got that going. I'll just leave it like that right now. And here, we'll just do this much olives since we're on a time crunch. All right, and so I'm just going to spread those around. All right, slide over for a second. I rinse my hand off. All right, and so I'm cooking this until the edges are firm for a few minutes on the stove. Yes, the link to the recording. Well, let me see if I can figure out how to pull up the chat on my phone. I know I've done it before because I've actually had to host complete classes. I don't know. The link will be put. We will have a link to this on our YouTube channel. So when this is done Monday, I will probably go and upload it all. All right, so we're cooking this. It's going to take a few minutes to cook it first so it can kind of set in here. I'm going to kind of put everything under the egg. Who has ever done other stuff with eggs? Like I have made those cupcakes, and I have done egg, and I've done bacon and sausage, and I've filled up my cupcake trays with like bacon, sausage, cheese, and stuff like that. And I've poured eggs over that, and I've made egg muffins in the morning for breakfast. Those were a lot of fun. We tend to have an abundance of eggs here sometimes. Here, I like our second fridge over here is our egg fridge. So we have eggs and eggs up here on the shelf too. And we have more eggs, and then we have fresh eggs from the past 2 days that have come in that need to get candled and washed. So I tend to do some stuff with eggs quite a bit, but I've done that. So we have a YouTube channel, talking about that for a second. It's Atlantic Institute SC. We have our own YouTube channel. And so if you go on there, you'll see there's a folder that says Cuisines of Different Cultures. And we have all of our Cuisines of Different Cultures videos for each year. They're organized by year. And then we have our other ones organized as well. So I'm just cleaning up the kitchen while I'm waiting on this. We get the milk. Oh, wait, you know what? Must forgot to put the cheese in. If I'm correct. If I remember, you're welcome. And all of our programs are on there. All right, so let me just, there we go. That would be how I get the chat. Can you send this recording? Yes, I can. Stick a fork in the end. All right, hi from, let me just see. What's the YouTube link? Repeat the name of the website, please. All right. Michaela, watch this for a second. I'm going to go walk over to my computer. All right. So here I am. Oh, sorry, Alex Sanchez. You've been in the waiting room. It doesn't. Okay, are you watching it? You can't watch it, please. All right. Let me go over here to YouTube, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up the page and I'm going to copy it and paste it into all right. Into our channel. All right. So here is our channel. All right, so there's our channel. Linda, if you did, you signed up using that email of LA Donovan 58, then I will email everybody that was signed in for this class, that signed up. I'll email everybody the copy of the video when I upload it on Monday. All right, so that is our YouTube channel. All right, good job, thanks. So that's our YouTube channel. And what was I going to put over here? Oh, our website. Our website is Scott, if you want to go ahead and put yours in the oven yet, if you haven't, go ahead.
I just did.
All right, I'm sure it's cooked some. Mine is still cooking, and I know we're coming up on an hour, so we want to wrap this up here. And I want to just show you guys the cucumbers salad that I usually do. All right, so I'm trying to go here. Let me share my screen. All right, so this is our website. I don't know how familiar some of you are with it. So this is our Atlantic Institute SC website. Here, I'm going to stick that in the chat. All right, so we have upcoming programs. We do the Cuisines of Different Cultures program, but we have this one coming up. We have this one coming up on the 26th. We have this one tomorrow. So we have all of our programs are usually on our website. They're also on our Eventbrite. So like if I click on this, it will take me to the page here. And when I go to RSVP, it'll bring me to the Eventbrite to RSVP. All right. And that's where like a lot of you have received your email about our organization from Eventbrite. And so that's how we keep our RSVPs on there. And here I'm going back to, here's this one. Here's Artistry Across Borders. Here's Love Thy Neighbor. Then we have, this is the one Saturday a month that I teach, the self-sufficiency series at 11 on one Saturday a month. This is the cultural creations class some of you guys have done in the past. And this is our Cuisines of Different Cultures. So a lot of times if you click on this, it will have all the here's all of the classes that we have for the year, and here's what they are and where you can RSVP for them. All right. So I just want to make sure I show you that. And then this is our YouTube channel. This would be our back door to it, like what you would see. There'd be our video that welcomes everybody. Some of you are familiar with that. I know Paula likes to show that. Here's our events that we've done. So these are all of our different programs we've done, and we have them all here in our YouTube channel. So here's the one we just did on the cultural field trip in Ecuador. We have genealogy discussions. We have a lot of different conversations. They're all here. So that you can see that's where they are. All right, any questions on any of that? Any questions on any of that? Because I know not everybody knows that. Here, Michaela, plug that computer in for me over there. All right, let's go back and take a look at frittata and see how it's looking. After this, I'm taking a nap. Ah, beautiful. All right, so it's starting to get a little bit set. It's a little bit thicker in here, so it's starting to get set some. Oh, here, hold this for a second. We forgot to add, Scott, you didn't remind me. We forgot to add the cheese. I do like feta. There were other cheeses you can put in there.
I put a lot of cheddar on mine.
You did, didn't you? You know what? You want to see what my cheese drawer looks like? I got lots of all the shredded cheeses from the store in there. But I really do like feta, so I kind of thought I would try it in this and see how that is. I'm gonna save myself some just because I don't ever buy this and I really do like it. All right, so now this is gonna go, and let me just wash my hands again. So there it's cooking. This is gonna go in the oven at 425. Finally, I have these silicone handles on my cast iron pans, so they can go right in the oven as well. Which is great. All right, that can go away. All right, cucumber salad. I'll tell you see all the stuff I'm doing in the kitchen? You see all the stuff that I'm working on and doing on in here. We're in Northeast Georgia, and we're kind of like homesteaders, so we do a lot of stuff ourselves. And you see all the running back and forth and the cooking I'm doing. Guess what I forgot about? Sometimes I channel all those women before me. We have a wood stove and we use wood to heat. And I'm going, uh-oh, crap. I let the fire go out. I got to go load the wood stove and I got to go dig up the coals and get the fire going some more. So we have it's a lot of different things to remember in here doing stuff. And I think of those women back in the day that were the pioneering women that came through towns, and they were setting up their homesteads and cooking and taking care of the kids and managing everything and then keeping the fire going. Sometimes it can be quite a bit. All right, so here I'm gonna make sure this is done. We're gonna go ahead and pretend that this was like 4 hours. You can see the amount of liquid. What you're gonna do after about 4 hours is you're going to strain it. You can see the amount of liquid that's already formed. All right, and you can wait and you can keep letting it sit as long as you want. This is honestly, okay, remember how I said like loosey-goosey? You want to get it like loosey-goosey? This is pretty good. Sometimes some people want it to have a little bit of a snap, a little bit of something. And so you want to kind of crush it up a little bit with your hand and let it kind of get some more of the liquid out, break up some of the fibers going in there. All right, and then honestly, what you're gonna do, so you see I started this in this bowl. All right, I started it in this one, and I've got all that liquid, and what I'm gonna do is actually transfer it to this bowl. But what I'm gonna do is, I really wish Zoom would let me focus in on things so you weren't getting like the entire background of the kitchen. I'm gonna add water to this. What we do is we try to get some of the salt. You put a bunch of salt in there, but it's not necessarily what you want to all eat. So we kind of strain it some. Michaela, can you come hold this with your hand? No, I don't keep the cucumber liquid because that cucumber liquid is going to be really salty. No, hold the phone so I can strain. All right, so you want to get a lot of that salt out now, which you put in there. So I'm going to strain it. I'm gonna keep mashing it up some because I want to get that salt out. All right. Totally could use a strainer right here, but I'm kind of trying to rush on time. Strainer would probably be the way to go. Just so you know, this was just the way my mother always did it, and my grandmother always did it, and they do it in probably Germany, unless the women are smarter now, which they probably are. So I'm gonna go like this. What we always did growing up is we squeezed the water out. We've got the water squeezed out and stuck it in. We transferred it to a different bowl. So we squeeze the water out and transfer it to a different bowl. All right. Squeeze it out. And then you didn't break off any of the ends of the asparagus.
Yeah, I did.
You did? It looks like ends
It's
over
over
there.
there.
Oh, right. Okay. And you don't know about that trick? Like you're supposed to break off the ends of your asparagus. It gets off the hard part. You just kind of break the asparagus naturally where it, you don't cook those ends because they get tough. All right. So there we go. And see how nice and like without liquid any of that is. So it's nice and thin. All right. You want to do a taste test? That still has plenty of salt on it. You could rinse it again if you want. So I like salt, and so I like it a little bit salty. This is actually probably a good amount of it because here I'm going to go ahead. I don't do this ever, but I'm going to do this for the sake of that picture in the recipe where it said it was cucumber and tomato. All right, so here's cucumber and tomato. Let me get a spoon and stir. I think actually playing with this a little bit for me and having it have that little bit of tomato in there might be kind of fun and interesting. In the summertime in our garden, we'd grow cucumbers and tomatoes and things. And what I do is we cut them up and we soak them in Italian dressing. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of, you just add a splash of white vinegar. All right, that's probably like a sixth of a cup, maybe. Add a little bit of olive oil, just a tiny amount. It's probably like like a tablespoon or maybe two. And then some lemon juice. If you have a fresh lemon, that's great. I don't always keep that on hand. So I'm gonna add like a teaspoon probably worth of lemon juice.
How do I know if the frittata's done?
What?
How do I know if the frittata's done?
All right, so you're gonna, okay, hold on, let me just add some black pepper and then go ahead and mix that up. We add like a quarter of a teaspoon of black pepper. And then you mix it up and then that would be, oh, you're supposed to add some dill. All right, let's look at the water here and see if we can tell. So here is mine. So around the edges, it should have a little bit of browning. And in the center, like mine is bubbling still, so mine is not done yet. I don't know if you can see the bubbling. And it's got a little bit of a, it's got a little bit of a, let's see. So if I'm gonna tap it on the top, it should bounce back a little bit and doesn't have no liquid. I'm gonna give mine, because I forgot to time it, about two or three more minutes. Yours is probably done because yours went in a few minutes ahead of mine. Because I think the recipe only called like 10 minutes in the oven.
So I'll bump it up to broil for 2 minutes.
Okay, watch the broil. When I
Yes.
tell the kids that, they go, "Uh-oh, mom's gonna burn something." I love to broil stuff because I like to give it flavor. All right, look, I'm gonna put in a little bit of dill because that's what that was called, a cucumber tomato dill. So, and I'm just gonna sprinkle in some dill and turks and there we go. All right, so this would be a traditional German salad, German cucumber salad, and I've added the tomatoes in. I would add more tomatoes, except that I didn't buy enough. But this would be a traditional German salad. And then I added the tomatoes in. You can cut them up, but it's kind of really nice to have it nice and thin. And I will tell you, some people can't eat cucumbers because it makes them gassy. Right, let's see, it's tangy. Yeah, so now you can taste it. If it's a little something, you can add a little something else to it. You can add a little bit more olive oil if it's a little too tangy. You can add, you can play with the flavor a little bit. All right, but I will tell you, can you add nuts? I wouldn't add nuts to this. I don't know. I've never added nuts. Whoever commented right before, can you add nuts? Can you go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question? I might not have pointed to it, but we didn't get to it fast enough. That's not tangy. That's pretty good. All right. It's still good.
Hi, this is Ruby. So I was the one who asked you the question about the nuts. I was thinking in more in terms of sunflower seeds or pine seeds or something like that.
Oh, I bet you could do some sunflower seeds if you wanted. I've never tried that because we just always had traditional German cucumber salad. It's supposed to be limp like that. It's supposed to be pretty, limp like that. And it was always, I will tell you, we always ate this with Puerto Rican rice and beans and chicken. So we had a baked chicken, Puerto Rican rice and beans, and then cucumber salad. That's how I grew up. We ate it like that. It was like the staple meal for all of our fancy dinners. All right, when you send,
Thank you.
oh, for the cucumber salad, yes, I will. I will do my best to come up with what this recipe is. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead now, and I think I'm gonna pull out my frittata because I think, in my opinion, it's done. Because cast iron cooks a little faster because it gets hotter. So these get heavy. Does that I've gotten weak? All right, so there is my finished frittata. See how it's been brown now around the edges? And I can loosen it up around the sides. Are we wanting to see if I can pull this out and make it pretty? Because I don't do pretty. I don't really, it doesn't bother me if something doesn't look pretty. I'm gonna let it rest. So I just wanted to get it away from the edges of the pan, but I'm gonna let it rest for a few minutes. Scott, what's yours look like?
Well, I kind of did it something a little different because I have a ceramic pan.
Ah, right.
Want to put that in the oven. So some tricks I learned. I kind of mixed the vegetables. I whisked the eggs in a bowl. I put the vegetables in. I have one those glass pie plates. So I put in the pie plate and then heated it on the stove to set the eggs. And then
Yes.
put that in the oven.
Right.
So it looks very nice. And
I'm gonna bet it looks a lot nicer than this. Let me see what yours looks like.
yeah, let me try and
all right,
move my computer around and tell me if you can see it because I can't see
Georgina.
it. Yeah.
Are you talking about, like, I have some Jordanian spice here called zatar? Zatar? It's probably zatar. Which is probably just how she mentioned it. Is that what you're talking about? Like, because that's a Jordanian spice that I have.
Wow, it looks amazing.
Yeah, the zatar.
No, he's showing his.
Yes. I need to see. Okay, wait. I need to go over. Go ahead. Show me again. Ooh, very nice. Because you know what? You put the cheese on top too, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
and I broiled it a little. And
Yep.
almost forgot, but didn't.
Good, because I tend to forget. Show
Thank
it to
you.
us again for any of those that are just joining that didn't get to see it.
Tell me when I have it angled right.
Oh, yeah. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep panning. Yeah, there you go. Very nice. Yep. And the glass like
you.
pirates. Very nice. That looks great. Where are you from? Where are you watching us from?
Newington, Connecticut.
Connecticut. I think a lot of more northern use Pyrex and glass cookware sometimes for their stuff. I think down south we tend to use pot pans and things like that, like a cast iron pan or something like that. Because I grew up in New York, but I was raised in Florida and I live in Georgia, and I noticed there's differences like that.
I've tried cast iron before, but I really never got into it.
Right.
So.
No problem. I think that's just a phase of where we're all at. Like depending on where we live.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to I know how to do maintenance on a cast iron pan and how to use it and how not to use soap and water on it and all that. And
right.
with just a just a metal thing to scrape it
right.
and let it season and all.
Yep. Yep. And I think because we make cornbread a lot and fried chicken and things like that, we tend to use I have a ton of pie plates, and I probably could have done this on a pie plate. I would have thought about it differently. And I have a Pyrex plate or two. So I might have done it. I could have done it like that too. But for some reason, my go-to in my head is always cast iron pan for stuff. Believe it or not, this is my behemoth cast iron pan that I cook in a lot. This is huge. This is huge. This is when I have friends over and I'm doing a lot of stuff. I use that.
I have a pizza stone, and I just keep it at the bottom of the oven and on the bottom shelf or bottom rack. And if it needs to be cleaned off, I just scrape it clean so that it's seasoned.
Yep.
And I use it, and that's the only thing I have that I do the whole cast iron thing.
Yeah.
My pizza.
Yep. So I have this. I cut it as a pie, and I probably should have taken this out while I was I'd rather you look at me than watch me do this.
I also figured, since I didn't know how long I was going to keep in the refrigerator for, because I live alone.
Right. Yeah.
How long will it keep before I have to cut it into pieces and stick it in the freezer?
So just because this is eggs.
Yeah.
I would almost go like 3 days.
Okay.
I wouldn't go far, and I'd mind. I don't know if freeze it and see how that is.
Yeah.
But I would probably tend to give some to neighbors.
Yeah. I mean, it won't keep in the freezer?
I don't know. I don't know how eggs are going to keep in the freezer. I'm not sure how they're going to keep in the freezer.
Yeah.
So,
go on.
Well, so here's mine. I think it looks and smells good. I will tell you, I am a spinach girl. So I kind of like to prefer, I would probably make this, and I would probably put some cream cheese and spinach and feta and some sun-dried tomatoes. So don't be afraid to experiment with your frittata, because there's a lot that you can do that you can make with a frittata. You don't have to stick with this kind of recipe. I would probably do sun-dried tomatoes and spinach and cream cheese and feta and onion and garlic. I'm thinking that's one of them that I would do. I'm known to make all kinds of things. I probably would make one with chicken, and I'd probably cut up some rotisserie chicken from the store, and I'd probably cook that in there. Now, this is granted that you have eggs. Like, see, I tend to have an overflow of eggs. So it isn't, I can sit here and I can experiment with a dozen eggs. In fact, when I was going to prep for this, I was actually going to pull out like my other cast iron pan, and I was going to do like 2 side by side. And I was going to do one like this with this recipe, and I was going to do one with my own. Because a lot of times you make this kind of thing when you have to clean out the fridge. And when you have an abundance of vegetables that are starting to die in your fridge, peppers, onions, mushrooms, things like that. And so sometimes you make this like that. All right, I am going to step out of the fridge now.
Yeah, the way I consider it, when you're baking, a recipe is a blueprint. When you're cooking, a recipe is a suggestion.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yep.
what I was saying before is I was hoping to be able to for my mother next time I visited her, but if it doesn't freeze, I won't be able to do that.
So wait, you were hoping to do what?
Save a piece for my mother to bring to my mother next time I visited her, but if it doesn't freeze, I won't be able to do that.
All right, hold on a second, because I'm gonna switch over to my computer because I'm done cooking now. So let me go to this. You can hear me okay, right?
Yeah.
On my computer?
Yeah.
All right. Y'all, can you turn the oven off? Because I left the oven on. All right, thanks. All right.
I do have an answer for your frozen eggs, though.
So it looks good. I'm coming over, Linda. Feel free. I tend to feed a lot of people. Oh, and Linda's in Bristol, Connecticut, so I don't know if that's close to where you are in Connecticut. You could bring her some frittata.
Yeah.
All right. So Ferris said she makes frittata a lot, and she freezes after cooking and cooling in the fridge. Wrap well in saran wrap, then place in a freezer bag.
Okay, thank you.
I do believe that you can do that and try that.
Thank you. Then I can bring it to my mother.
Yeah, I would
Good.
try that.
Good.
And then Dinky said, will grated carrots work? Anybody know if grated carrots would work? I don't know if I would try grated carrots. I forgot my camera's still on.
Imagine if you could drain them well enough, anything could work.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I don't know if I would do grated carrots. They might be kind of funky.
It would certainly be a sweet frittata.
Yeah, it would be. Let's see if I can get out of Zoom here on my there. All right. Yeah, Jackie said squeeze and drain, right? So I mean you could try squeezing and draining and trying carrots. I think it's not a bad thing to always try. And then you have to see. How many eggs per person if you're doing for a crowd? I don't know. Mine was not very deep. I think Scott's, because you were in the plate, yours looked a little bit deeper. Mine was a wider pan.
No, mine is not very deep. It's just like a 9-inch.
Okay. And I will tell you, when you do this for a crowd, eggs go quickly and eggs don't really fill people up too much. You could technically do one of those big aluminum pans and you could make it a little bit thicker and you could do that. You could actually make it in a pan for a crowd like that if you wanted. And I would I think sometimes a good rule of thumb my mother always said was 2 eggs per person. Some people I know or like Dinky was saying, the brownie cubes, 2 eggs per person is kind of like the standard when you kind of think of eggs for people. I know plenty of people that like to eat 4 eggs when they eat eggs. So sometimes I don't always go by 2 eggs a person. Sometimes I go by 2 eggs a person, and then I might add like 4 or 5 more or something like that. Because I don't always, I'd rather have more than less. And so a lot of it, cooking is creating, baking is exact. So you can change it up however you want and make it however you want. And you can try it with more eggs and you can try it with less eggs and stuff like that. I didn't get to taste mine yet and I'm in the other room. I don't know if you tasted yours at all, and it's rather hot, I know, because I was curious if that was about the right amount of salt and pepper or if it probably needed more. But I think adding, you have to remember, like, the vegetables that you added into it have salt. If you cheated like I did and you used canned mushrooms, that was extra salt. I just didn't have time. I couldn't remember if I had mushrooms at home or not. And the grocery store that I went to is not great for vegetables, but it was yesterday and it was the one that I had. It was the only one I had. And I went, yeah, I will just go ahead and get some canned stuff. Um,
I was
so
gonna,
go
I
ahead.
was gonna say 2 eggs per person is fine as long as you also serve it with a big stack of pancakes and a big pile of bacon and
Right.
a bunch of
Bacon.
croissants and cinnamon buns on the plate as
Actually,
well.
you
Then
know
two
what
eggs
I
is
thought?
fine.
No, you know what? I will tell you, look up Cracker Barrel's hash brown casserole. That recipe is online. I was thinking that this I would make with a pan of Cracker Barrel's hash brown casserole. That to me would like be a great side and then some bacon. And that hash brown casserole, I usually make a big pan of that and I stick in the oven, and that is something people can eat for like 3 or 4 days. So you can make it, put it in the fridge the day before, and then pull it out and you could bake it. And then you could bake the frittata because it both bakes around the same temperature. So you could do that. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna be teaching the naan that I made with my doll. Um, I mean, I will, I don't know. I'm not slated to teach anything else for this class. I will show you um you guys if you want to. I don't really ever think that I do a ton with food, but apparently I do. And so if you want to, this is my Facebook. You can always send me a friend request. Um, this is what I had canned apple pie filling about a year ago or so ago, and I forgot that I canned it. And my boyfriend pulled it off the shelf and said, "We need to eat this." So my daughter baked an apple pie. Um, so I will show you, here was the doll that I made in my Instapot. I made it in the regular pot the first day. I made it with yellow split peas, and apparently it needed to cook longer. So I decided to use it in my Instapot. It came out, um, and I made some white rice and I made some dal. I think it came out good. It was a little bit too, I would have liked a little bit more of the pea to hold its shape, but it didn't. And then I made a triple batch of dal. And so there's my pizza stone below. This is where I had it in the oven proofing. So I made a triple batch of dal, and I pulled it out. There's my pan again. And so I cooked it in the pan, and that was when after I rolled it out. And then I stuck it all in my toaster oven to keep it warm while I cooked it. So I made like 18 dals or 18 pieces of naan. And I thought the naan came out pretty good. Um, and so there was my plate. There's my naan, my rice, my dal. And then I have the yogurt seasoning. Sadaf, I think, makes the yogurt seasoning that I've gotten in the grocery store. And so I added that with some Greek yogurt, some plain Greek yogurt. And so that was our dinner one night. And then, don't do this. I left my Instapot on the stove, and the next day I was cleaning the stove off, and apparently the Instapot hit the dial, and I melted the bottom of my Instapot. So no more Instapot. I was in the kitchen and like, I smell plastic burning. Why do I smell plastic burning? Sure enough, the burner was on and it melted the bottom of my Instapot. So I will not be doing that until I get another Instapot. Fortunately, my birthday is March 12th, and my daughter said that they would get me an Instapot that I could pressure can in now too. So don't leave things on your stove, because you never know, something might accidentally catch on fire. And I know this. So, but that was how I did my naan. And I think one of my friends asked me for the link. I actually had to make it twice because our neighbor saw it and she was a little jealous that she didn't have any naan. And so I put the recipe that I did in the comments here that I used for that. So it was pretty yummy. It took me an hour to make all those. So I don't know if that's a great thing to do for, but feel free. And these are our chickens. We left the chicken coop open one morning by accident. It was open overnight. They didn't get locked up, so they came and met us in the morning when I got up. So see, I guess I do cook a lot and I share things. So this was the first time I made the dal. and see how I made it in the pot and see how it kind of held the bean texture, but some of those did not cook all the way. And I wasn't crazy about the crunch. Some of them had a little bit more toughness to it. And that was my first rise of my dal. And then there was my naan there the first time I did it. And so that was my plate the first night. I made a lemon, ginger, garlic chicken with it that I just kind of created on my own. And then we baked some friendship bread. So, which we're going to do later today too. But apparently I do quite a bit of cooking. I was going to say, is there another cooking thing? We also do quite a bit of building. We do a lot of different things. This was the Self-Sufficiency 101. This is on our YouTube channel. So this was the February's class. This was also February's field trip to the museum. I probably have other cooking things that I've done on here as well. Yep, sure do. There's my picadillo I made with my white rice and my black beans. So I did some homemade picadillo one night. And one of our favorites is cream cheese and those little stuffed peppers with everything bagel seasoning. And then I boiled up some duck eggs too. So we had a salad with, this was deer roast actually, one night. I posted a couple of different pictures of the food that I did. And this was the night I did picadillo and rice and beans. So my father's Cuban and my mother's German. So I have a little bit of I do both things. Oh, and here we did these, what did we say? Hasselback potatoes. We hadn't done those before. So we did Hasselback potatoes. And those came out pretty good too. So feel free if you want to, and you're on Facebook and you want to send me a friend request, you can. All right, curious to know how to make the naan. All right. All right. So Dinky, let me know if that helped. If you need to send a friend request, you can. Did I soak them overnight? No, I didn't. And I know you're talking about the beans. No, because I was given directions that I could cook them in about 25 to 35 minutes. But I will tell you that coming to find out that was for yellow split peas, which do need to cook for like 2 hours. They can cook for like 2 hours in a pot. And I kept you have to keep adding some chicken broth or water, which is why I use the Instapot, because I know it will contain the amount of liquid that I'm using. If I do the dal again, you want to cook it for 25 or 35 minutes in the pot. That would be if I was using actual lentils. So the lentils actually will cook faster versus the yellow split peas. It just so happens somebody gave me a couple bags of yellow split peas. So that was what I used. All right, y'all, we have gone over. So we are over like 32 minutes. I know some of us need to go. All right, so thank you all for joining us. I hope to see you on some of our other programs. I'm doing that one tomorrow on Oppenheimer, which is kind of a neat conversation. So if you feel free to sign up for that on Eventbrite, if you find it, you should be able to find it on the Oppenheimer house. So I am doing that one tomorrow, and would love to see some of you there. So feel free to join us in any of our other programs we do. We do interfaith, intercultural dialogue programs and educational dialogue programs. So any other questions anybody has? And my birthday is March 12th. So yes, I'm a Pisces, which is
Upcoming birthday.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. And I do get, like, I have some sumac. I have some friend that lives in Jordan, and she brought me like the Jordanian spice that I was sharing before, the za'atar, and stuff like that. So I have some sumac and some different things too. So I do enjoy cooking, and I guess I enjoy teaching too. But anyway, any other questions anybody has? If not, you can go ahead. I release you. You all can leave and go back and enjoy your Saturday. I like to just be kind of fun and a little bit different.
You did a great job today. Thank you.
Thank you.